4 years ago, Dave Sivulich was, man, there's no way I can do that. I don't think I can get that game.
Right.
I don't think I can do it. I don't know if I have enough money. I don't have the knowledge. Looking back, I think, man, I'm so glad I took that step. And so I look at the people that we work with today who are deciding on making this same decision. And I always tell them passionately, because I've been in their shoes, you can do this.
Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to our dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vodyssey Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and we've got a really exciting episode, at least exciting for us. We're out of our studio and into our producer studio down in St. George. Dave and I are down here looking at a property, upgrading a property that we already own. And so we're going to have, I usually, when I do interviews, I don't get to have over the counter live interviews with somebody. So today I'm joined by Dave Sivulich. He's my best friend for I don't know how long now, Dave. We've been best friends forever, but he's actually our chief operating officer here at Vodyssey. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the inside things that we're doing at Vodyssey, but really more importantly, I want to talk to Dave about his journey into vacation rentals as well. So you guys hear a lot of success stories of our members and everything else. And so most of our team at Vodyssey is built of successful short-term rental investors, and Dave's one of those. And so, Dave, thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Thanks. Yeah, this is exciting. We're checking a few boxes here. We get to spend a little time together. We do a little Vodyssey work, and we kind of upgrade and kind of enhance our properties as well.
It's awesome.
So,
normally we don't Dave and I don't usually have conversations like this. So this will be fun. We should just we're not usually mic'd up, but we're always talking about this stuff. So today I told Dave I want to kind of rewind the clock and really talk to you like I would anybody else that's getting into the game. Tell us a little bit about your background, like why and like what led you into vacation rentals.
Yeah. So like you said, we're, you and I have been best buddies for, 15, 20 years, played a lot of basketball together and have been, close. I had a property, as you know, in Star Valley, Wyoming. It was just a personal use property. It was a cabin. Yeah. We loved it. We owned it for 11 years. The hard part was as our kids got older, we just didn't have a chance to use it as much. So we ended up selling it. I knew, what you did and kind of this excitement about short-term rentals. And I thought, I ought to probably get into this, or I ought to at least consider it. And that kind of started my journey into short-term rentals. Yeah. We joined the program. We became Vodyssey members. I went through the course. And we got our first property here in St. George, Utah, and we've kind of skyrocketed from there. It's been an amazing journey so far. So
yeah, that was back in the day. I'll tell the story when we started. It was actually Dave's wearing one of the OG shirts, which was Lifestyle Asset University, and made me think of this story when you were saying when you started really getting into it was. I used to have the company used to be called Lifestyle Asset University. Then all of a sudden the state of Utah came to me one day and said, hey, you can't use the word university in your business name. And so that was our change to Vodyssey. But I remember sitting in, when I started, I've always just been a real estate investor, and you know that, and you and I have talked about this for a long time. And even when you started getting into it, your first property, I don't even know that we were just getting started with coaching, right? I hadn't really been in the coaching space for very long. I never thought I would be a coach, never for a million years didn't think that I would get into that space. Right. I just happened to speak on other people's stages for a little while, and I really liked it. I would get invited to go speak on other people's stages just because of what I was doing and having a lot of fun teaching people what we were doing. And so that's kind of what led to it. But I remember when I started, I called you, and it was kind of like, multi-level marketing style, like, hey, Dave, help me get a bunch of people in a room, and I want to try to help them with this. You remember that day?
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. So we called our neighbors, our friends, our relatives, anybody we could get.
Anybody that would listen to us. And then and at the time, our mentorship program is significantly more expensive than the $1,000 we tried to get, right? At the time, we were going to say, hey, listen, for $1,000, I'll take it and I'll walk you through this process. I'll be your coach. I'll one-on-one help you through this process. And I think we ended up only having 9 or 10 people show up to our meeting, right? And so we have 9 or 10 people in the room.
But then the kicker,
and I did my I did my best presentation that I could, and then I said, okay, $1,000, and the kicker was I told them that after you buy when you buy your first property, I'm going to give you the $1,000 back too. So I'm going to just
no risk, money back guarantee. Yeah. I was praying everybody would sign up.
Yeah, we thought we'd close 100% of the room. All of a sudden, everybody's like, hey, thanks, Shawn, good job, I appreciate it, and if one person goes out, two people go out, and then they don't make eye contact with you, and there's only like two people left, and I put my arm on the door, and I was like, okay, I mean, somebody's got, you guys are signing up, and I'm going to help you buy a property. And so that was the beginning stages, pretty fun days. So let's get back to your story.
Yeah, no, but John, the cool thing about my story is I knew you were in real estate. And so I'd followed you. I knew you sold homes and been in all kinds of different, experiences and things. Like I never owned properties other than my cabin for personal use. Mm-hmm. And so this was a totally different strategy, kind of out of my realm. I didn't know much about it. And so when I joined Vodyssey, went through the course, went through the program, absolutely amazing. I could never have done what I did without going through that program and that process. And so for me, it really gave me everything I needed to know and really understand. I still use it today. But the great thing is I was able to buy my first property in St. George, Utah. We've had it now for 4 years. Since then, we bought another property in Florida, which is such a cool story. We owned it for, let's see, we bought it for $275,000. So we put 10% down. We owned it for about 18 months. We just sold it like about 3 weeks ago, and we put $100,000 in our bank account. So think of that journey from not really knowing anything or not understanding this market to be able to create a lifestyle asset, be able to create passive income. And now we've got $100,000 in the bank. We're going to parlay that into another short-term rental. We're looking at different places. We made an offer on a property in Slade, Kentucky. Never heard of Slade. I don't even know really where it's at. It's a beautiful, brand new cabin. So what we're doing is we're going to parlay that and continue this journey and continue this process. Super excited. Love every second of it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's and you went the very traditional route. My work career is not traditional, right? I've been full-time investing for 23 years. That's not really normal, right? But you were, I mean, you went, you played college basketball, get your degree, go get a job at a really, more than the Fortune 500 company, probably, right? A huge medical supply company. Yep. And for a long time.
Yeah, 22 years, yeah.
Yeah, 22 years. And so, you and I were talking in the car about this many times, and you're saying, I always just kind of did what I was supposed to do, and 401ks, everything else. Right. And a few years back, you make the jump and say, here's what we're going to do. And tell me about the change that's been there. It's because it's not always easy, but has it been life-changing? And has it been because you had a very good position when you left.
Right. Yeah. And as you said, I was I'm the COO now for Vodyssey. I have a passion about what we do, love what we do. But that was a big step, moving away from corporate, America, the security of those things. But this journey that we're on is so exciting. It's so impactful. It's amazing. Every single day we get up, we look at properties, we help people, we dial that in. But it is a big step. But I think most people have that fear of, man, I don't know if I can do it. It's a big challenge. It's kind of that analysis paralysis that a lot of people have. And I was in that position. I mean, I knew you. We were best buddies. We'd play basketball. I knew what you did, real estate, but still I was a little concerned. I don't know if I'm taking this jump. I'm not making that, that choice to go down that path. So until I did that, I never knew what a great option this was and a great opportunity to create the passive income, the lifestyle asset. The appreciation of the properties is amazing. Right. And so all those things. But it really is that first step of, okay, I got to make a decision. And am I going to jump into this? Am I going to start this process, or am I going to, look from the sidelines? And that's a big deal for a lot of people.
It is. And that decision doesn't always mean like you're burning the boats, quitting your job, doing something else, right? We talk to people all the time. Our ideal client and who we work with mainly, they're busy professionals. Yep. They're not planning on quitting their job. Mm-hmm. This is not a side hustle, right? They're planning on, just like you did when you buy that first property, the second property, all of a sudden you start to see the returns of them, and you start to see the benefits financially and lifestyle wise. But it also, my goal is, and what I always tell people is, once you start building those assets just one at a time, a step forward, taking that first step, all of a sudden you have options. Right. Now all of a sudden you can say, hey, listen, I have a really good job. Maybe I'm not that passionate about it. Maybe I can do something else that I am a little more passionate about. Maybe I have a little more, drive or fulfillment with something else. And because you start to stack assets along the way, using that active income and start to stack those assets, now you give yourself options, right?
Yeah.
And that's where that real financial freedom comes. But more important than sometimes the financial freedom is the lifestyle freedom.
Right. And it's building a foundation. It's just kind of one by one, putting blocks on top of each other. I think the perception is that for a lot of people is, hey, I'm going to get in this game and I'm just going to start making money. Well, you do, but it's passive income, it's appreciation, it's all those things, but it's over time. It's a long-term play, if you will, with short-term rentals. So you buy one, you parlay it into another one, you can create passive income, and then you can buy more and more. I mean, we've been in this game myself now for 4+ years now, and I have 2 properties. My goal, my wife and I, our goal is to have 5 properties in 10 years. And we're on that path. Yeah. We're now making offers on our 3rd property, and we're going down that path. So that's what people need to do. Set a goal, dive in, don't get impatient, and really dive into the process and really follow it.
Yeah, it's awesome. What as you kind of look back, because now you get the benefit of doing it yourself, but then also now you're looking back and you can see and you're helping people do it now. And like when I started this, I always say, like, I never thought that I would get that much joy or fulfillment out of helping people and seeing people change their life. Sounds really weird and selfish, but it's just not something I thought about very often. Right. And so, but now I always say to people, I have so much more fun watching people build their portfolio, seeing them make the offers, seeing, getting those answers. Like you were talking to me this morning, he's like, man, I've never had a check for $100,000 hit my bank account. Right. I love hearing that stuff, and you are on the other side of that now where you're a big part of that with a lot of people. Is there I know for me, I was surprised at how much fulfillment I got out of that. I don't know why, but I was, because I'd never been a part of it. Yeah. For you, how do you feel about that? Like, do you like that part of that?
I 2 things. One, 4 years ago, Dave Sivulich was, man, there's no way I can do that. I don't think I can get that game. Right. I don't think I can do it. I don't know if I have enough money. I don't have the knowledge. Looking back, I think, man, I'm so glad I took that step. And so I look at the people that we work with today who are deciding on making this same decision. And I always tell them passionately, because I've been in their shoes, you can do this. You can make this happen. I was that guy 4 years ago that wasn't sure if I could do it. And I still, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I pinch myself all the time thinking, man, I have now 2 properties that my family can use. We can take advantage of those. They're amazing. So the passion that we have and what we do is so awesome. I love to hear stories about people that have decided to join. They come into this program, they jump into the community, and they post or they comment, they get their first property. There's nothing better than saying, man, we were a part of that. We helped them get to where they're at. Now, it's not easy. It's a challenge. It's hard work. There's a lot of effort that goes into it. So there's great times, there's tough times, but the overwhelmingly the good times, are way better than the tough times. Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like, we always say we want people to walk into this game with their eyes wide open. Like there's nothing, up our sleeve, a secret that we have that, hey, if you're not part of Vodyssey, we're not telling you, right? We want people to walk into the short-term rental game with their eyes wide open. We want to put our arms around you when those tough times come. Mm-hmm. That's why people really hire us, to help them implement. They don't hire us for the good times. They hire us to help them through those bad times, because there's going to be challenges. Markets shift around, interest rates go up. We have all these different things that we have to look at, that we have to navigate. But every single time there's a challenge, there's also opportunities there. And so we want to be there for those opportunities and be able to get through some of those challenges, because we don't want you thinking that, hey, listen, there's some secret sauce that we have that somebody else doesn't have. We always say that to people. Like, hey, listen, if somebody's telling you they've got this magic pill that's only going to last for a short period, nobody hears about it.
Run for the hills.
Exactly. It's not the case, right? None of us have that. There's nothing new under the sun. Some people just have a lot more experience and knowledge in a game. You're going to learn things when you dive into something new. Somebody asked me on a podcast I was on yesterday, actually, and they're like, we all have to take that first step. At some point when we go down a different road or a new road, or we want growth, we have to take that first step. And you said, what do you how do you avoid some of the mistakes and the risks when you take that first step? And my answer was always like, I look for people who've done it before me. I look for those people with experience. That's why, and like, that's what we love to be, that experience for people. We love people to leverage the experience we have in the ownership model, in the short-term rental game. This is such a powerful asset class. We talk about so many new investors, they chase the returns. Like, okay, what's my cap rate? What's my cash on cash return? Those are all important metrics that every investor looks at. But really seasoned investors, they're looking at saying, how do I get my money back? We call that the boomerang effect, the short-term rental boomerang effect, because when our money goes out, we want our money coming back. And that's really because people are saying, how do you scale into 5 homes or 10 homes? Do I have to save up for that down payment on every home? The answer is, strategically, you really don't. You have to save up for that first one. You need to get that money out of that first one and go back. And there's a lot of different methods to do that. With short-term rentals particularly, there's a couple loopholes tax-wise that you can get that money back pretty dang quick from cash flow and taxes, and then all of a sudden do it again. And you're really taking one down payment and buying multiple properties along the way.
Yeah. Well, and I talk to people every day, and one of the things I find interesting, and they ask me this question, a lot of people, is they say, when is a good time to get in? When should I join? There's always something. There's always something that's causing somebody not to get in. And I always tell them, today is the best time to get in.
Yep.
Today is the day you should get in. Because I look back and think, if I didn't get in 4 years ago, I wouldn't have the appreciation. My properties have doubled. I wouldn't have created the passive income. I wouldn't have created all the memories that my family and I have had. I mean, how amazing is it when your 21-year-old daughter says, hey, can we go down to use the property with some of my friends? I mean, that's fun to be able to say as a dad, absolutely, let me book it out for you. I mean, it's fun. So I always tell people, today is the day you should get in, because 6 months from now or a year from now, they're going to come back and say, okay, now I'm ready to get in. And I think you've just lost so much money from all those things, tax advantages, appreciation, passive income, the memories, all those things that you didn't create because you were sitting on the sideline. And I know it's tough. I get it. It's tough. There's challenges, but you gotta take that plunge and you gotta go for it. It's an amazing asset class. We love it. And think of what we're doing together down here. We're down here at our property. We're kind of upgrading it a little bit and doing a few things on it. I mean, that's the fun part of it too.
Yeah. And let's talk about that. Like, the reason we're down here, this is kind of a work trip, if you will, right? We've owned this property for 4 years. When we bought that property 4 years ago, if you had a model home looking property, that really kind of set you toward the top of a market, right? And so, there was a lot of properties that were just having cell phone pictures. They weren't even professional photos. They definitely weren't designed by professionals. They didn't look like those model homes that are out there that you would go see when you go buy a new construction home, right? So when we bought that home, that was raising the bar, right? When we set this home up, it looked like a model home. Well, now 4 years later, there's model homes everywhere, right?
Exactly.
And so now we start to blend into the crowd, and we have to say, okay, what do we do now to raise the bar to start to operate toward the top of the market? And we talk about delivering that fairy tale, creating a unique experience. And so that's what we're really down here doing, right? We're not having to upgrade all of our furniture and everything else. We're going to take an inventory. We're going to figure out the experience that we're going to create, and we're going to apply it to this house. And
it's really like an upgrade. We're going to upgrade it to today's standards, today's needs, and it's not that difficult. I want to make sure people understand that, when we do this upgrade, it's not a ton of work. I mean, we're spending a day down here. We're measuring a few things. We're upgrading. We're making sure that the place is fully stocked. We're, taking an inventory on are things in good shape, things like that. Do we need to upgrade some pillows, some rugs, some bedding? Some of those things go a long way. So that's important for people to understand as well.
And we don't turn this one into a second job, right? We don't manage our own properties. Nope. And so I don't manage any of my own. You don't manage any of yours. No, we are a big believer that we hire the right management partners. But part of these trips is kind of checking up on the management partner, right? Listen, we haven't been down here for a while. And so we're coming down and we're making sure it's set up correctly. They're still, they're doing the things that we wanted to do. But the most important thing is to really raise that bar, because we all get guilty of it, right? We're all guilty of when something's doing okay, we ignore it, right? We don't, and so this property has made us money from day one. We operated toward the top of the market. The thing is, we bought it, really 5 years ago pricing, because it was a new construction. And so
right about COVID, right when COVID was hitting.
I think we started construction on this one, what was it, end of 2017. It was supposed to be done the end of 18, and it ended up taking a little bit longer.
Into 19.
18 to 19.
Right.
And then, But this particular property, as we decide to make that upgrade and all those different things that we're doing, it needs that upgrade but it's still operating really well.
Right.
The problem is when we really look at it, if we're honest with ourselves, we're not operating at the top of the market anymore. We're starting to slide toward the middle of the market. We still make pretty good returns because our acquisition price was so low.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of money we're leaving on the table. So that's what spurs us to say, hey, let's get down there. We got to practice what we preach.
Right.
And even though that property makes us money, we should still raise the bar because we're leaving a bunch of money on the table. And so those of you listening that have properties, those are things that you should be looking in the mirror doing. Those of you that are struggling and you're saying, I just got an email today. I was reading it to you this morning. This guy says, hey, Shawn, I'm in Panama City Beach. I've heard that the market is really going down. Occupancy levels are down. Nightly rates are down. Revenue, things are just tanking here. What is the reason for that? And what can we do as owners to make sure that we don't see that slide, right? That his question was that. And I get a version of that question every single day from people on the outside, right? And the reason is because if you have a property and you're not performing right now, which a lot of properties have slid the last couple of years, it's because you go to your management company and you say, hey, listen, things are not doing as well as they should be. And the management company comes to you and says, well, the market's sliding. Yeah. The market's not doing as well. Yeah. So it's just the market. And it's the number one question management companies give people right now because as owners, we buy it. Yeah. We buy into it. And we say, oh, really? Right. Okay, well, nothing you can do, nothing I can do. It's just the market. And it's such bullcrap. Yeah. They need to go look in the mirror. This one I said, I see it every single day. And I've yet to find a market. There's markets that are probably revenues going down. Yeah. I'm sure. But when I look at markets, revenue overall is going up. I pulled up Panama City Beach. I'm just going to spit off the numbers from memory, so I might be a titch off. But basically, occupancy is staying the same, right about between six, because I always look for a 3-year trailing, what's going on 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and the last trailing 12 months. It goes from 60%, 59%, 60%. So occupancy is pretty dang stable. Yeah. Nightly rates continuing to go up. Overall dollars being spent in the market 3 years ago was 91 million and change, right? 2 years ago, 126 million. The last 12 months, 156 million.
I mean, that's crazy going up, right?
So run the numbers.
Absolutely.
So how is somebody telling you that the market's going down? Well, the dollars being spent are significantly higher this year than they were the last 12 months than they were during COVID.
Well, and that's the importance of knowing the numbers and knowing the market. Don't let somebody else tell you this is the reason why there's a struggle. Yes. You know what I mean? Look in the mirror and say, okay, listen, what can I do to better my property, to maximize it? I think that's that's what we're doing here is we're maximizing this property. We're taking advantage of, all right, how do we set ourselves apart from every other 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath that is near ours? Yeah. Like, what are we going to do? And so we're doing that. And occasionally that's, you got to do that. And that's what Vodyssey teaches you. That it's right in the class to the classroom is to teach you how to maximize that and continue to keep doing those things.
Yeah. And knowing your numbers. And that's exactly it too. We talk so much about knowing the numbers on the underwriting side when we're buying properties. Super important to know your numbers on the underwriting side, obviously. But it's just as important to know your numbers when you own a property. Exactly. You have to continually audit those market numbers to see where you're falling. Are you underperforming? Are you overperforming? If you don't know the numbers, you can't answer that question. Right. And so what most people want to do is look for all these exterior factors like the market to blame on their lack of success or their lack of performance, when really they just need to look in the mirror and say, oh man, I probably do need to raise the bar. I have a beautiful home and it's set up, but I'm not delivering a unique experience. I'm not, or maybe I have a great experience and I look at my listing and it's not optimized and I'm not articulating that experience. There's so many different things that you can do, and be honest with yourself. I cannot tell you guys how many times that I hear people, because people say, hey, listen, I'm underperforming. Most of the time, most of you know the answer of why you're underperforming. Right. And so it's crazy how many times we go into, I meet with people, their properties are underperforming. We're analyzing properties. And the first thing they say is, hey, listen, I want this meeting. I'm underperforming. We're not making the money we thought we were going to make. I know you're going to tell me to do this, this, and this. Yeah. But what else can I do?
Get better pictures.
Right.
Do some of those things. Yeah.
Right. But they know,
Yes.
they literally will tell me the things that they know they need to do that they don't do.
Right.
And so just look in the mirror and say, what do I actually need to do? And then take responsibility and go do it. Right.
Well,
Most
like
of
you
the
said
time.
early, it's not rocket science all the time. It
No.
is the simple things that actually move the needle. And most people don't realize or don't think that those little things are going to, move the needle. Just like what we're doing on our St. George properties, we're doing just a few little things that when guests come in, they're going to be like, wow, that's pretty awesome that they have that. Or, wow, look that they thought to do this, or whatever those things are, which then, gives you five-star reviews.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It adds to that customer experience, right? We always say, and you guys have heard me, if you've listened to my podcast for, if you've even listened to a handful of episodes, you've heard me at some point say, you're not selling real estate, you're selling an experience.
Absolutely.
And so if you're trying to sell the real estate, you're going to fall flat and you're not going to get booked, because the people that are selling the experience are going to get those bookings. They're going to get their unfair share of business.
Right.
That's the name of the game now. It's not that supply and demand gap is not as wide as it was, where everybody with a property was making money. Now that's evened up. So the people that are raising the bar, the people that are selling what the customer wants, which is a great experience, they're going to get booked over the other properties that are just out there selling real estate.
Yeah. I always tell, when I talk to prospective Vodyssey members, I always tell them, it's about the experience. How are you creating this fairy tale experience? And I always use the example, when people look at VRBO and they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, they look and they say, okay, that's a good property. Okay, that one looks good. Okay, that one looks good. And then they get to the one that they're like, wow, that's the experience I want.
Speaking to
Honey, come here. Look at this. Look at these photos. Look at this. This is where we want to take our kids. Look at this. This is awesome. And so that's the one. And then that's the one you book.
Right.
And they're all 3-bed, 3-bath. They're all great. They all look nice. They all got decent photos, but the experience that you're creating with that one is the one that you're going to stay at. And that's why you book it.
Absolutely. And don't keep it a secret.
Right.
You think that, like we all think, the house is part of the experience, but they're coming to the area to do a whole bunch of different things, right? Make sure that you're articulating that in your listing. Don't assume that when they're coming to an area, they know everything about the area and what they're going to do there. And even if they do, it's not redundant. You're not hurting your listing by having some of those things in your listing, right? We see it all the time. I give you example after example. We won't dive into that today, but what are you doing to not only create and curate a great experience, but how are you also articulating that in your listing? And so don't just take the surface answer of the market's getting bad, or, the occupancy is going down, and because it's an easy cop out for management companies right now. And the reason it's so easy is because of all the things we hear on the news, right? We're going into a recession. Things are not good. The economy's bad, blah, 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 right? News is bad news. I have news for you. They're not going to tell you anything good on there. And so, but when they know that you're listening to that, they know that they can get away, because they know that 99 out of 100 people don't even know the numbers. And so they can say it's bad, and you're going to walk away. You're not going to argue with them. It's not their fault now. They pass the blame to the market itself, and that's not the case.
Right.
So know your numbers. Totally like kind of deviating off onto some of these things on these tangents, but they're great.
That's why it's fun to have these conversations. They're real life, and they're such a big part of everything short-term rental and everything what we do. So it's awesome.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to wrap up today. We're borrowing a studio from our producers, and I know they've got a podcast right behind us. But I always ask you, every time I have a guest, I ask the guest, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self and give you some advice, and say, knowing everything you know now, like just to go back and say, here's the advice I would give my younger self, what advice would that be?
I think it's a great question. I definitely, I'm not much of a risk taker, and I would absolutely say I would have got in this game sooner, one, but I would also have been a little bit more aggressive in taking advantage of what's out there. I would have, we had the opportunity to buy 2 properties in St. George, one right by each other. We should have bought that. Now, it's easy that hindsight's 20/20. It's always easy, but I would say if you're questioning it, go for it. Take the leap of faith and just get in and go for it. You're going to create memories. You're going to create all these things. So if you're wondering, I would have said to myself, let's go forward. Let's do this. Let's get after it. So
nice. Love it. It's by far and away, out of all the answers I get, that is the number one answer I always get is I wish I would have done it sooner. Yeah. And what it takes to get into something sooner, I always say, you got three things you got to really consider. You got time. How much time do you have to do something? Yeah. How much money do you have? And how much knowledge do you have? Right. And you're usually going to have to leverage one or all three of those things. And there's the great part about it is it's all out there for you. Right. And so it's a matter of making it a priority for the time. Right. Figuring out what you need to do money wise, whether it's save up, borrow, tap into something else. Usually it's cut something down and just make it a priority on money wise. And then knowledge, there's plenty of people out there, myself included, that is, there's a lot of knowledge that you can leverage so that you don't make the same mistakes that a lot of us did that didn't, that dove into it. Experience is huge. Yeah. No and question. So being able to, and that gives you the confidence to now move forward sooner, right? Because that is by far and away the number one answer I get. So awesome, Dave. It's fun. We're gonna get back to work. We're gonna go shopping. We're gonna go measure stuff up and shop. And so those of you that joined us, we know how valuable your time is, and we always appreciate you sharing it with us. And so I always leave you with one challenge at the end of every episode, and that is to go pick one thing that you can do today to start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodyssey.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.